goes to right. Russell Westbrook.
You love the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me get a hell yeah!
What's going on, guys? What's happening? It is Deibs, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Welcome to Party on Broad. Joining us today is, of course, our co-host. He is Rob. Follow him on Twitter at Philly_Madness. What's up, Rob?
Hey, man, I'm excited to do what we do every year and then look back on it and go, why were we such assholes to try and guess the schedule 5 minutes after it came out? So, although there are some caveats this year that are going to make this really interesting. So it'll be interesting to see how we all play this thing out.
Love it, love it, love it. Also joining us today is our other co-host. He is John Russell215 on Twitter. What's up, man?
What's up, guys? Nice to talk to you. Nice to get all our hopes and dreams up right now before they come crashing down. So let's get into it.
Happy NFL schedule release day, a.k.a. overreaction day. We are going to react and predict the Eagles' schedule. It just came out. It is fresh. I haven't even looked at it. I don't know about you guys. Rob, what are some variables that, some rules, per se, that go into your mind when it comes to predicting an Eagles record?
So I have a couple normally, and then I'm going to have another one this year because I think it's going to play a major role. But normally, I firmly believe in the ebb and flow of an NFL season. I believe that teams win games they shouldn't and lose games they shouldn't based on how things are playing out as the season progresses, which makes this even harder to do, might I add. But I also look how many games in a row as a team on the road. I can remember last year being very concerned about the Buffalo game at the end of a 3-game road trip because I said it is the end of a 3-straight-game road trip. Now, the Eagles got embarrassed 2 weeks prior, and they came out and played well. But and then short weeks, and are you traveling? Where are you traveling from? All that stuff. But this year, a caveat that has to be in play is, will there be fans in the stadium? Meaning, will there be home field advantages? Because there is a really good possibility that these stadiums are going to be empty. And if they are, that changes everything as far as home versus road.
Nailed it. We're pretty much on the same page here. I'll get into mine after my man JR. And any kind of rules in your head that you go when it comes to picking these games?
Not really. It's X's and O's. We should beat that team, we should beat that team. And that's how I hold the Eagles up every year for every game. I mean, these are the standards you build up after you won a Super Bowl. This is what's going to happen. So win the games you're supposed to. The other games in between, we'll see what happens. No fans is going to be wild, though, because I think that gives us such a great home field advantage. But look at other teams. Look at the Saints. Look at the Cowboys. Look at the Falcons. Like, they're not going to have home field, and they're all dome teams. So we'll see what their nuts and bolts have to do, too.
Share to the public what your shirt says over there, man.
This is the beer that they make at Jose Pistola's. It's called Dallas Sucks. Mm-hmm. Go support them when they open back up. It's a great spot.
Amen. So, Rob, you absolutely nailed it. In my opinion, the ebb and flow of the football season takes paramount. When it comes to the Eagles, there's always one dud. There's always a dud, and there's always a game or two they win they should have never win. So I'm like you, Rob. For me, as an Eagles fan, I go straight to fucking 2019 when they started out so slow. They were so sloppy. And I look at these 3 first games. I look at the Redskins, I look at the Rams, and I look at the Bengals. Those are 3 kind of must-win games to start off the year. And knowing how slow they came out the gate in 2019, that has me a little concerned. So let's just jump right into it. It is week 1. It is a 1 p.m. game Eastern time at Washington. The Eagles start off the season. Rob, what's your prediction win-loss, man?
Well, listen, they started off the season in 2017 in Washington, so I'm hoping the past repeats itself a little bit there. I don't think Washington's ready yet. They don't scare me. I think the Eagles are probably going to win both matchups against them. And listen, I don't think it'll be pretty, but I think that the Eagles will jump out week 1. They'll get a win down there in Washington, and we'll all be getting our Super Bowl tickets after 1 week.
Got the W. How about you, JR?
Yeah, we opened up against Washington at home last year, if I recall, and Deshaun had 2 touchdowns. we came out real sluggish to start the game, and we all were kind of on the team booing them, going in the locker room. They came out and were just an air show. So a nice cupcake, soft opener. So yeah, we're gonna dominate them. 28-10.
Love it, love it, love it. Also, love Chase Young. He was the prize of the 2020 draft, in my opinion. I don't like that the Washington Redskins are going through like a regime change. It's good for them, not for the Eagles. Trading Trent Williams, guys, that pretty much takes them out of any kind of competition level in 2020. They have a lot of talent. They have Dwayne Haskins and no offensive line. I see this as a romp. I give the Eagles a W here. Let's move on to week 2. That is the Rams, 1 p.m. Eastern time game. Rob, what's your prediction for that one?
I will say that Washington defense is going to be good for the next few years. They're building a really strong young defense there. Listen, home opener, it's the Rams. I have said this for years. Even the year they went to the Super Bowl, the Rams did, I said this. I don't think they're that good. I just do not believe they're that good. I don't think Jared Goff is that good. I think Wentz was the better out of the two of them when they were drafted. I think they are getting older. I think that there's no Todd Gurley back there now. I mean, what's that going to look like for them? And they got to travel all the way across the coast in week 2 of the season. Eagles home opener. Hopefully we're all there. Hopefully fans are in the building. I like the Eagles to win this one too. And like you said, Chris, these first 3 are huge because of the way the rest of the schedule breaks out. So I'll give them a win here.
Love it. Go, JR.
It's a Dubs. They're coming across country to play us. If this was later in the year and we didn't have fans, I'd be a little worried. But because it's week 2 and we're coming off a short trip from Washington, which is relatively basically home, I'm on the same page as Rob. I think they're frauds. I don't think Jared Goff is anything special whatsoever. It's a Dubs. Birds. We're going to look good 2-0 going into week 3, I think.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page here. Second round pick, Cam Akers is definitely the one to watch here in this matchup. But the way the Eagles' defensive tackles are lining up, man, that guy's going nowhere. They lost defensive coordinator Wade Phillips. That could really hurt them in free agency. Van Jefferson, Terrell Burgess, really good picks for the Rams. But, man, I like the way this game kind of boils down for the Eagles. And like you said, Rob, Jared Goff is just not that good. I think it's a W. I think this is a good matchup for the Eagles. But going back to my previous point, there's a lot of pressure on the Eagles to start off the gate really strong here because there's a series of games coming up after this first stretch that are really challenging. So we all have the Eagles starting 2-0 to start the season. Then we move on to the Bengals. It is another 1 p.m. game. How great is that? 3 straight 1 p.m. games, nothing better. It is the Bengals. Rob, what's your take on the Bengals game?
All right, so we talk about the Eagles could have a dud. This might be – there's something about the Eagles when they play rookie quarterbacks. They allow these guys to shine all the damn time. However, this Bengals team, you want to talk about a team that is in the true year 1 of the rebuild. They are in the true year 1 of the rebuild, and I can't see them coming in here. I don't know how pretty it will be. It might be a game that's sluggish. The Eagles don't look great. They're only leading by 1 score for most of the games. But I can't see Joe Burrow in his 3rd game coming into Philadelphia, hopefully with fans, and winning a game. I have the Eagles starting 3-0.
All right, JR. Go ahead, buddy.
Kind of similar, kind of opposite. I think by week 3, fans will be in the stadium, and this kid might just shit his pants. This could be like one of those 48-10 games where we unload. And really, like, this is one of those games to me where I think it brings in all the Eagles community and overhypes everybody else. Do they think we're so good? Because I think we may lay a 50 burger on this team right there, as Coach Duggs would say, but easy win. But it scares me because I think it raises expectations.
Oh, man. Go ahead, Rob.
No, I was just saying it would. And with this fan base, if this team starts off 3-0, it's going to be relentless trying to calm people down. It's so annoying.
Man, the nightmares of that Dolphins game are just like really laying thick with this game. I'm terrified of this game.
Try being in Miami for that game.
I've been an Eagles fan for too long. I've been in this same situation for years, and here we are. But man, The Bengals, super high on Joe Burrow. Unfortunately, Joe Burrow has no offensive line. I love their picks of Logan Wilson and Akeem Davis-Gaither in that linebacker range. T. Higgins, not a big on that guy. But yeah, this game comes down to the Bengals offensive line and whether or not they can give Joe Burrow time, and I think the Eagles got it. I think they get the W here, 3-0. We all have the Eagles starting 3-0, and all of Philadelphia is tearing down everything. Then we get to San Francisco, week 4, our first Sunday night football game. Rob, what's your take on the San Fran game?
The change in mentality of Eagles fans from one week to the next is going to be astronomical. Everybody's going to be riding high starting 3-0, and we're going to go in. We're going to beat those defending NFC champions, and who cares what they have? Who cares about that defense? And then Sunday night at about 11:30, we're all going to be like, oh, shit. We are not on the level of the San Francisco 49ers because, in my humble opinion, we are not on the level of the San Francisco 49ers. I think it's a loss. I don't think it's a very pretty loss. And I think all of the Sunday night football crowd is going to watch an unpretty loss.
Go ahead, Jar.
I think we're looking at like a 27-24 Eagles win on a Jake Elliott last-minute field goal. Look, I'm not sold on San Fran. I could have said it last year. I think if we had a healthy team head-to-head versus them, we would beat them. I think their defense got a little older this year. I think they made kind of questionable trades too, and what they did to get draft picks and whatnot. But I think we got a lot faster, and I'm going to be staying true to like how I stayed true last year when the season started. I think we're a better team than San Fran, and if not, God, we lose by a field goal, so be it. But I think we win by a field goal. I think Elliott does it this week. We go to 4-0. That's my thought.
Love it. Yeah, this game has moral reasons to it. I think they lose this one. First up, I freaking love the Niners draft, man. Brandon Ayuk, Javon Kinlaw, two of my favorite prospects in this draft. They also added Trent Williams. That was a major trade to keep up, Jimmy G upright.
You mean Jason Peters 2.0? Yeah. His old ass should have retired a couple years ago. We're going to run rapid on him.
All right. I see the Niners as completely loaded. They're an efficient offense. This is one of those where we want the Eagles to kind of compete.
Efficient offense. What did their quarterback throw in the NFC Championship game? He threw like 7 passes all game.
Didn't he do that all year?
Yeah, but here's the thing. They have a decent running game, and it's not even that I think I think that defense is legitimate. And once again, here's where my ebb and flow really played. This game will set up for the loss. And I don't know. We've talked about the Eagles roster, and as it stands right now, I don't think that they're ready to compete with that team yet.
Why? Are they going to outscore us?
No, I think they're going to out-defend us first and foremost. I think
who's Richard Sherman covering over there?
Well, yeah, but here's the thing: you're talking about. I mean, other than Deshaun Jackson, it's a lot of what ifs, right? And we're only in the first month of the NFL season. Not to say these guys can't continue to grow, but in week 4, like if this game was week 12 and those guys had played almost a full season, maybe we're talking a different tune here. It's still early, and like I said, to me, I'm very that you travel out west after 3 wins, you're feeling yourselves a little bit, and the Eagles under Doug Peterson have shown to feel themselves a little bit at times and have to take a slap in the face to realize, all right, hold up, we gotta regroup. So maybe it's the slap in the face. We'll see.
You're right. I can see that happening just as much as I can see us winning by a field goal. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, who knows? Like this is one of those games where you lay a stinker versus the Bengals, and then they shock everyone and go into San Francisco and blow everyone's mind for an amazing win, just like Green Bay, right? So just who knows? Yeah. All right, let's move on to week 5. It is at Pittsburgh. It is another 1 p.m. Eastern time game. Rob, what's your prediction for that one?
Everyone's going to look at this, right? And they're going to say, oh, I mean, did you watch Pittsburgh last year? They weren't that good. Mason Rudolph was the quarterback. They couldn't run. They couldn't do anything. Pittsburgh, to me, is never going to be an easy out. They're just not. Not as long as Mike Tomlin is the head coach. And as much as I hate the guy, he's getting old, and who knows, he might be out for the season by week 4. Ben Roethlisberger will be back under center, you got to think. I think Juju Smith-Schuster had a down year because of the, inaccurate quarterback play, and it was all over the place. And I think James Conner's a good running back. I think that Pittsburgh is going to be out all season to prove something this year, that it's not just Baltimore and everybody else in that AFC East. And I think this game being in Pittsburgh matters. I know it's not a far travel for the Eagles, but this one I don't think is a blowout. I think it's a very close game. Eagles normally play Pittsburgh tough. Whether they win or lose, it's a close game. I see it that way, but I think Pittsburgh edges us out.
Go ahead, JR.
I'm going to take the reverse. I think this is where we catch our L. This is the team that always plays us hard, typically kind of always has our number, but we have their number too. This could be one of those weird games. Like, God, it's week 5. We're on the road back-to-back. We're not going that far. And this is where you can start to see the Jalen Hurts package get rolled out now that we're 4 or 5 weeks in. And something goofy could happen. I'll give the Pittsburgh our first loss this year. We'll be 4-1 after this week.
I think this is another statement game, guys. I think we start out 3-0. We take a heartbreaker to the Niners, and then the Eagles put it all together for a game versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going W. I think this is a good win. I love the Steelers. Steelers got Ben Roethlisberger back. The fact that they had 8 wins without Ben for a majority of the season is pretty impressive. I don't like their draft. They had Chase Claypool in the second round, and then 6 picks in the 5th round. Pretty a mediocre draft, but man, that defense is pretty freaking legit. Yeah. And you got to think that Ben being back is going to be a huge upgrade there, obviously. But I think this is like one of those, like, the Eagles are going to play really well kind of games. This Pittsburgh game. So I got them with W. I think this is one of those like 30-23 games where Carson Wentz puts it all together. All right, let's move on to Baltimore. It is week 6. It's another 1:00 game. Go ahead, Rob.
So the Eagles will be home underdogs in this game. I think that will be safe to say. I think they will be home underdogs in the game. I think everyone and their mother will be picking the Baltimore Ravens to win. How would Eagles stop Lamar Jackson? The speed in the receiver position for the Ravens. They have speed out there. Their defense is always, a solid defense, although they're probably down a little bit from where they've been in the past. Chris, you had the statement game being last week on the road. I think the Eagles' first statement win is this one. I think that they find a way to get past Baltimore at home. This is the end of a brutal 3-game stretch. I had them losing 2 in a row. They're going to find a way to right the ship at home against Baltimore. They owe Baltimore a little bit. Baltimore always seems to have their number. They owe them. And I think that they get them in a close one at home.
All right. Got it. How about you, JR?
I think our defense was basically set up to defend a team like this. Not just Lamar Jackson, who's amazing, but Baltimore has a plethora of running backs that are really fast and can catch the ball really well. I think now we're getting into our draft picks. Now we're going to get exciting with Kayvon Wallace and De'Veon Taylor. Like, these guys are going to be in packages for this team because they run such specific personnel. I think we shocked the world too. If the Birds are getting points at home this week versus the Ravens, I'm hammering it with everything I got. I think Birds pull the upset here.
Awesome. All right, I'll write you in for the W. I'm going the opposite, guys. Baltimore is loaded, guys. Baltimore is absolutely loaded. They won 14 games last year. They were top in the NFL in offense and defense last season. And they added Patrick Queen and J.K. Robbins and Devin DuVernay. They are just absolutely stacked. That roster is scary talented. Calais Campbell and Patrick Queen, man. That duo is going to be really fun to watch this year. This is one of those loppers. I think there's one of those, like, the Eagles are down 28 points in the first half, and it's just over. That's just my gut feeling. Yep. This is going to be a brutal, brutal game. Come on, guys. That's how the Eagles season is. It's a roller coaster, man.
Absolutely it is. I'm just kidding. You wait, the roller coaster is just starting right now. Yeah, I might be positive, but I am the negative one. You'll see it.
All right. So just a quick recap. We are 6 games in. JR has them at 5-1. Rob has them at 5-1. I have them at 4-2. You're 4
I got them at yeah.
All right.
Losses in San Francisco and Pittsburgh back to back.
Got it. My bad. All right. Let's move on to Week 7 versus the Giants. This is Thursday night football. Go ahead, Rob.
Listen, I know that the Eagles the last 2 years have bucked the trend of road teams and have won Thursday night games as a road team. The Giants are not going to come in here on a short week and beat the Eagles. Now, the only thing that would concern me here was if my prediction for the week prior comes true and they beat Baltimore. Now you're setting yourself up for a letdown. But I don't think that letdown will happen with the Giants. I think the Giants are getting better. They're improving, but they're not quite there yet. And I think the Eagles will win the Thursday night affair.
All right, go ahead, JR.
Yeah, short week. We just had a home game the Sunday before. Giants are coming to town. There's no way in hell Daniel Jones and that group of guys are going to beat us. I don't care if we have to put 7 guys on Saquon every play. There's no way that the Giants are going to beat the Eagles on a shortened week. Back-to-back games at home is a W for the Birds. It might be a blowout, too, like a 34-3.
I'm going to go the opposite for this one. So I'm going to go – just hear me out. Hear me out. I'm going to go – a ton of this season of the Giants depends on how fast Andrew Thomas can kind of adjust to the NFL. This is their prized offensive tackle. Whether or not the Giants can keep Daniel Jones clean is pretty much the storyline of the game. The offense is pretty good, but Joe Judge, he's an unknown. The Giants' defense is an unknown. This has all the signs of a really brutal game by the Eagles, sloppy game, and the Eagles win by a field goal in the last second and kind of come together.
Okay. So you do have them winning. I thought you were going to have them losing this one. Not
a blowout. I think just like any typical NFC East, Eagles sloppy game, maybe 2 turnovers in that first quarter. They get down in that first half. Who knows? And they come back and win. Just a locker room building, chemistry building kind of W for the Birds. I think. All right. So I got a W there. JR's got a W there. Then we move on to Week 8. And that is the Cowboys for Sunday Night Football. Go ahead, Rob.
I refuse to pick for them to lose this game because I am sick and tired of Sunday Night Football in Dallas and watching that team celebrate. And I hate every one of those scumbag assholes, starting with their owner, okay? And I refuse to allow that to be a loss. I don't care. They will not lose Sunday night at home to the Dallas Cowboys. It won't happen. They're winning that one.
Go ahead, Joe.
I'm taking this as an L for us. This is a random, weird. This is a weird. We fumble a punt return, and somehow Dallas runs it in, and they're up 6 with no time left. One of those just, how the fuck did that happen? Because this team shouldn't beat us. But it happens every year to somebody on our schedule. Let's get it out of the way now. Let's get the Cowboys thinking they're all great, whatever. It's not going to mean shit in the long run, but this is one of those letdown games for me. We've been riding high after the Ravens and the Giants, in my opinion, and the Steelers. It just feels weird. It feels really weird.
I that's really fair, JR, because I think if there's any team to feel weird about, that's the Cowboys. You never know what the Cowboys are going to give you. When you look at the offense on paper, that team is stacked. I absolutely love their draft. They added really key players in CeeDee Lamb, Trevon Diggs, Reggie Robinson, that whole Byron Jones crap. I mean, they really filled in some guys here. And I just love their offense. It's really, really got tons of potential. But like you, JR, sadly, I think this is going to be a tough one. I think the Eagles take the loss here, and I think just like you, JR, I think this is one of those the Eagles are going to learn a lot from this game and really kind of adjust moving forward. All right. So I got the L. The only one that got the W here is Rob. And then we move on to the bye week. Quick question. How many players are on the IR in the bye week? Go ahead, Rob.
25.
Any?
Can we get can we get a medical staff that actually gets us our players back? That's all I'm asking.
Amen. Amen. All right. Serious. Let's go on to week 10. It is at Giants. Oh, man. Go ahead, Rob.
So the Eagles are coming out of the bye week, and on my schedule, they're 6-2. Everything is great. It's the Giants. They're not good. And here is where the clunker hits.
Okay.
They, as good as they were out of the bye week under Andy Reid, they have not been that great under Dougie P during the regular season after a bye week. I see an Eagles team that starts off sluggish because of coming off of the bye, and the Giants kind of hit on a couple big Saquon plays early, and they're fighting. They're trying to claw back the rest of the way, and they never get over the hump. This is going to be that loss where everyone starts to doubt them. You know what I mean? And maybe it'll be warranted. But I think the Eagles lose to the New York Giants in New York this year.
Go ahead, JR.
Maybe it's biased. I don't know. This Giants team to me looks like a team like an Alabama Crimson Tide team could beat. Like I am giving no respect to this Giants team because A, they haven't earned it, and B, they don't deserve it with the guys they're putting out there for the 55-man roster. I think we come out of the bye week and steamroll. This is a solid 14-28 win. Get business, get it done. Let's move on to next week to Cleveland.
Yeah, this is a really tough one to read, right? Like, this is everything that's in my gut that tells me of being an Eagles fan says this is going to be a very sloppy, slug it out game versus an NFC East opponent when we know the Eagles are very slow coming out of a bye. So I think given that it's in New York, I don't know. I'm looking at this for the first time. I'm gonna say it. The Eagles take the loss here, and it's going to be kind of the eye-opener game for the Eagles moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. All right, let's move on to the Browns. Week 11, 1 p.m. game. Go ahead, Rob.
It's never easy to play in Cleveland. I mean, I know that they're not a great team, but they got a good fan base out there, and fans are, hopefully fans are back by that point. It's going to be loud. It's going to be an ugly environment. But look, you come off a bad loss to New York. This doesn't seem like a team that has these two bad losses in a row in them. There's a difference between losing 2 games in a row and losing 2 games to bad teams in a row. I think the Eagles will get the win in this one. I think that they will get the Baker Mayfield. They'll make him feel a little uneasy, and they'll pull out the victory in Cleveland.
Go ahead, Jar.
First and foremost, I am a Baker guy. I support Team Baker Mayfield. I do think he's a cool dude, and he is a good quarterback. I think he had a crazy coach last year. But regardless, doesn't matter. They're the Browns, and they suck. And we're an upper echelon team. We should take care of business, and we should beat them handedly. There shouldn't be anything that bad. We might even see Jalen Hurts get some snaps in the fourth quarter because we're up so big.
I am going
optimist.
I am going the opposite. Another slug it out game for the Eagles here versus the Browns. The Eagles find themselves down 10, 17 points in the first half, and they come back and win versus the Browns in another one of those just team building games, moral victory games. And I have the Eagles getting a W here. I think it's going to be very ugly. It's going to be I think the Browns are going to be terrible, and I think it's going to be, no one can really decide, well, was that really a win? But we'll get to that. So I have a W. Let's move on to the Seahawks. Man, one of my least favorite teams of all time. Go ahead, Rob.
I feel like the Eagles have played the Seahawks 20 times in the last 5 years. I feel like they just play them over and over again. And the NFL, it's a sick joke to make us keep playing this team, who, by the way, the Eagles have not beaten since 2008, I believe, is the last time they beat the Seattle Seahawks. Okay? It's a Monday. I look – so the Green Bay game's kind of in the middle here. This is a tough stretch of 3 games. You got Seattle at Green Bay, home against New Orleans. They are going to lose one of the Seattle-New Orleans games. And both games have this revenge factor in them, though, right? Seattle beat them twice at home last year. Knocked Carson Wentz out, even though Clowney probably won't be there. Who the hell knows? He might be in an Eagles uniform. You don't know at this point. God, this one is tough, man. I look at it, and I want to scream that they're going to win, but I can't. See, you talk about a coach who just has their number. It's Pete Carroll, and I think he's going to get them again, and Seattle's going to win this game.
All right, gotcha. How about you, Rob or JR? Go ahead.
I'm on the same boat. Home Magic's going to wear off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
This is a team that just has our number. This, to me, is going to be similar to what you guys said the past couple of games back. This is going to be our clunker, where it's kind of a reality check, and the mass media just hounds on us. Like, is this team for real? Like, look what just happened. Seattle came in there and just showed them what's up. It's going to happen, and we're not going to go undefeated at home. We already lost to the Cowboys at home in my book. I think we lose to the Seahawks still.
All right. Yeah, as with most seasons, when you look at their offseason, everything boils down to Russell Wilson. Everything else is pretty meh. Their draft was pretty bad. Regardless, not many players in the NFL can give me nightmares like playing Russell Wilson on Sundays, man. That dude is my Mariano Rivera. He fucking terrifies me. But JR, Rob, I'm going the opposite with this game. So where I'm going with this, we came off the bye week. We lost big time by the Cowboys. We went into the bye week down and out. Then we had a clunker versus the Giants. Then we had a barely squeaking by the Cleveland Browns. This is Carson Wentz's statement game versus the Seattle Seahawks. He finally the Michael Jordan over the Detroit Pistons. He finally do it. This is that game. This is that game. So I
love that optimism. I love hearing that.
It's a beautiful thing.
All right, then we move on to Green Bay. It is a Week 13, 425 game. Go ahead, Rob.
Look, I understand that Green Bay had one of the strangest drafts that we've seen in a long time. But all I know is last year they were a game away from the Super Bowl. All I know is last year the Eagles went in there and beat them on a Thursday night, kind of shocked them by running the ball down their throats and keeping Aaron Rodgers off the field. Green Bay in November is a lot different, November, December, than it is in September, October. And I think Aaron Rodgers is the type of petty asshole who remembers that game and says, no, this is BS. That team came in here and embarrassed me on national TV last year. They beat us. I'm not letting it happen again. And the Eagles will lose a second straight game. They're not dead yet, but I do have the Eagles losing a second straight game.
How about you, JR? Petty asshole.
He's a petty dude. I don't give a shit what anybody says. He's a petty dude.
Somebody who doesn't talk to their brother or parents is a weird dude. Like, that's just I got the Birds here. I don't think he has many weapons around him anymore. I think his offensive line was really just exposed at the end of last year, and I don't think they did much to address it, especially if we had a big name like Clowney or Yannick or something like that. Birds win in a nail-biter, 21-17. Birds take it on the road.
Oh, man. The only thing dumber than picking Jordan Love to back up Aaron Rodgers in this draft
Don't you say it.
was not drafting a single wide receiver for Aaron Rodgers. I didn't say it. The defense and running game with the Packers is going to be really good. They got A.J. Dillon, who I'm a big fan of. So the running game is going to be good. The defense is going to be good. But how do you not address the passing attack for the Green Bay Packers, man? Regardless, this is a team that won 13 games. However, the Eagles seem to know what they're doing in Green Bay. So I'm going with the Eagles W here. I'm going back-to-back huge wins for my Birds. We had a huge one versus Seattle. I think this is another one of those 20-17 games where Jim Schwartz absolutely looks incredible. Fletcher Cox, Malik Jackson, Javon Hargraves are just clicking on all cylinders. So I got the Eagles a W. Let's move on to week number 14. It is the Saints. Woo! Go ahead, Rob.
Listen, this damn team has talked way too much shit about the Philadelphia Eagles over the past couple of years. When they had drought and and all that. Then they win off of, look, the Eagles jumped on them early in the playoff game, and then Nick Foles kind of came back to earth a little bit. And all this team has ever done is chirp. Oh, the 2017 was our Super Bowl. We would have beat the hell out of the Eagles then too. Blah, blah, blah. It is time to shut their asses up once and for all. Michael Thomas is worried too much about tweeting stupid shit at people. They're going to come in here, and you want to talk about Carson's statement game. Here he is against Drew Brees, and he's going to out-duel him. It's going to be a duel, but Carson's going to have an unbelievable game, and it's going to be an interception from Cravon LeBlanc to end the game, and he's going to mask it up on Alvin Kamara one more time just to let them know. The Eagles finally get their revenge 2 years in the making from the New Orleans Saints.
Dude, I got goosebumps, man. Got goosebumps. Go ahead,
you almost completely just changed my mind. I think Drew Brees takes care of business. I think that now, look, this is chess. It's not checkers. Let Drew Brees get the early pawn right now. They'll get their win right here against us. We're not going to be done seeing them. I don't think we'll end up seeing again in the playoffs, and then we'll eventually learn from our mistakes. But I'm going to give this one to the Saints. Bring the Eagles back down to earth a little bit. Saints take this one 35-24. It's not going to be terrible, but he's going to be too much.
We thought the Eagles at 3-0 would be obnoxious. Wait till you see the Eagles defeat the New Orleans Saints at home and move on to back-to-back W's versus Drew Brees. They finally get the monkey off their back and take it to the Saints. The Eagles are number one in the power rankings, at least top three in all the NFL power rankings, and the Eagles are just clicking. They got the running game going. Carson Wentz is running an efficient offense, and the defense is playing lights out. There it is. W.
Yeah, you sound like me.
Wait for it.
Yeah.
Wait for it. Let's move on to week number 15. It is the Cardinals at 4-0-5. Go ahead, Rob.
This is a really tough spot. For some reason, Arizona is like an Achilles heel for the Philadelphia Eagles. I feel like every year they go out there, they just shit the bed, and they lose game. And obviously, the 2008 NFC Championship is just ingrained in my head. And Tim Hightower on 4th and 1 getting stopped in the backfield and breaking a tackle, and then Kevin Curtis falling wide open when McNabb goes in the pass. It's just ingrained there. However, I know, yes, the Arizona Cardinals are a team on the upswing. There's no doubt about it. I like Kyler Murray. I think he's a good player. Maybe Kingsbury is going to break this trend of these college coaches not succeeding in the NFL. But I think the Eagles know that this one's important. It's also a tough one because right behind it is the Dallas Cowboys. And you don't want to fall into that trap game scenario. But there's a method to my madness, and I will give the Eagles a win in this one because of that method.
Awesome. You talk about Tim Hightower. I go back to Jake the Snake.
Oh, God. Former own Eagles.
Oh, man. Terrible nightmares. Go ahead, JR.
First off, big Cliff Kingsbury guy. When I was playing in college at a little D3, I thought him at Texas Tech was like the coolest offense in the world. I was like, God, they just threw the ball everywhere. So I always loved that dude. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to get snake bit, and I'm going to say we're going to lose one because there's a guy that they got this offseason who's a pretty great wide receiver. And I don't know if Mr. Slay is shutting him down. And I think Murray is elusive. He's a little bit Lamar Jackson-esque, which I do think we have the linebackers to contain. I think this might be one of those gun shows, and it's going to get on the end, maybe like a 28-27 type win. Arizona pulls it off at home. We go back-to-back losses. We're really in the gut check mode right now. Like, who are we? What team are we supposed to be?
Wow. Did not expect that, man. Anyway, so really, really big fan of the Arizona Cardinals offseason. Murray got a weapon, DeAndre Hopkins, one of the best in the NFL. But, man, they had one of the worst defenses in the NFL last year. And I think when it comes to me personally, Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker, safety, whatever you want to call him, he's the most intriguing player in the NFL in 2020. That is must-see TV for me. I'm just so excited to watch that guy play. They added an offensive tackle in Josh Jones, who's going to be really kind of key for keeping Kyler Murray clean. And I just see this as a loss. I see the Eagles after back-to-back huge wins. They're riding high. They're top of the NFL. And I just see this kind of game falling apart for them. They're looking ahead. They're looking to the Cowboys game, and they're not prepared. And they come out, and it's a dud. And it's one of those games where you throw away the game tape and you look to next week. All right. So let's move on to Dallas. It is week 16, and it is a 4:25 game. Go ahead, Rob.
So you guys had them losing to Dallas at home earlier in the season back in week 8. I don't think they're going to sweep Dallas this year. Dallas has explosive firepower on offense. You cannot deny that. To be very honest with you, if you just looked at rosters on paper, and we know we don't play the game on paper, I think Dallas might actually have a slight edge right now, to be entirely honest with you. Therefore, the Eagles are not going to beat them twice this year. So I had them winning that first game. I will have them losing this one in Dallas. I hope Dallas is not pretty even in the standings with them at this point, but they may very well be. I'm going to give the Eagles a loss here.
All right, go ahead, Jar.
Same kind of wavelength. I think we flip-flop home games here. They took one at us at home. We're going to take one for them at home. Who knows where the Cowboys' head's going to be at by this time in the season? They could be literally out of it and a complete mess up with Dak and everything they have going on over there. So, to me, it seems like we have a lot better foundation. I think that we're going to be coming off back-to-back losses. We're going to be looking to make a point. This is basically like throw the playbook to the window, all hands on deck. We're all here to play and put up as much points as we can. I think we squeak one out against the Cowboys and get back on track.
Another game where we're all watching on Twitter and we're waiting for Skip Bayless to react because the Eagles blow out the Cowboys in this game. It is a 30-20 game, and the Eagles are just riding high. The game was over in the first half, and it's just one of those games where Carson Wentz, again, cements himself as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and the defense is playing lights out. They get to Dak, and they establish the running game. I got the W. All right, let's move on to the last week of the season. It is week 17 versus Washington. Go ahead, Rob.
The Eagles need to win this game to get into the playoffs. I don't know if it's for the division, for the whatever. They need to win to get in. And not only are they going to win, they are going to absolutely murder the Washington Redskins in this last week of the season. I think by this point, Washington will have their, golf trips ready, their vacation plans coming. Nobody's going to be paying attention. They'll say all the right things during the week. Oh, we want to spoil, we want to spoil, we want to spoil. You ain't spoiling a goddamn thing. The Eagles are going to beat the hell out of the Redskins in the last week of the season.
Love it. Go ahead, Jar.
Yeah, piggyback off Rob said, this is like one of those weeks where the city, like whether it's the restaurants or even if you're just walking on the sidewalk in Center City, it feels like a playoff game because we know we're going. So like a lot of people who get to go to a game who don't normally get to go to a game will be able to go to this one because it'll be a blowout, like you said, Rob. Washington will have packed it in. Season ticket holders will be giving away these tickets because they're getting ready for the playoffs. So whenever that happens, you just make the city become more alive because you have more people going to a home Eagles game, and it kind of rallies us all together. And it's a perfect storm. We're coming off just beating the Cowboys in Dallas. We might get some guys in a quarter or two of play in here versus the Skins because we're going to blow them out. And we're going to see a lot of our younger guys come in and really learn this offense. And it's going to be a fun blowout win for everyone in the city.
Yeah, we're right in the middle path of an MVP season by Carson Wentz. This is one of those games where everyone's excited because Jalen Hurts is probably going to get a significant amount of playing time in this game. This is another really solid, efficient win by the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 17. So I got the Eagles the W here. I like the way this is burnt. This is kind of it kind of started slow, but it burns really well for the Eagles at the very end. So let's unshare this tab and see how we kind of came out here. All right.
All righty.
All right, so there we go. So we have Rob with 10 wins on the season. And then we have JR with 11 wins and myself with 11 wins. So that, you think about the Eagles. They won 9 games last year. In the middle of all that shit show that happened last year, they had 9 wins. So is that, I think, if assuming everyone stays healthy, that's a big what if.
I feel like last year, before the season started, I know myself, I mean, I wasn't with you guys yet on this podcast, but last year before the season started, I was thinking 12 wins, maybe 13. Like, I was so hyped up on last year's team. And I'm not going to run away from that this year. Like, I don't think we got worse from where we were last year. So 11 seems really solid to me. I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah, last year I remember I kind of almost pinpointed how it was going to be an up and down first half of the season because you remember they were loaded early and then had that easier schedule. Now I had them winning out, starting in Miami and winning it through and getting the division and all that stuff. Now obviously they didn't win against Miami, but then they did win out from there. I look at this team and I just don't believe they filled enough of the holes for me to think that they are better than a 10-win team this year. And as crazy as it sounds, I think Vegas has them at 9.5. Which, Vegas, I don't know how the hell they do it, but they're pretty damn good with the win-loss prediction for teams. They have Dallas and the Eagles both at 9.5. And I think both teams, because of the things we've mentioned, are going to be evenly matched this year. I think 10 could be and I know that this would, say that I don't agree with you guys, but I think 10 could be a best case scenario for this team. Now, if the stars align and everything else happens, then maybe. But I don't know. I agree with what JR said. Last year, I was hype about this team. I was really hype. I thought they were going to be a good team and be a Super Bowl contender. I don't know if I feel that right now. Could that change? Yeah, but I don't know if I feel that. A lot is riding on Carson Wentz, and I love the guy, and I hope the hell he has an MVP type of season.
He needs a left tackle to protect him, and that's what it's going to be. If this fucking kid steps up and is the left tackle we all think he can be, 10, 11 wins should be the minimum.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about that left side of the line. If Sam Malo and Dillard can be exactly what we think they can be, that is so huge because everything – we talk about the defense and the cornerbacks and the safeties and Malcolm Jenkins, but really it boils down to protecting Carson Wentz. And if you can protect Carson, I think that is everything. So any final thoughts on this, Rob, and we'll wrap it up?
Yeah, interesting. Jimmy Kemsky tweeted out just a little bit ago that the Eagles do not play any teams coming off of their bye in 2020. That is it. That's an advantage, right? These teams are all coming in if they're playing the week before. One of the other reasons why I like that Eagles Sunday night game, the Eagles have a week and a half off prior to that Sunday night game. They play a Thursday night game prior to that one against Dallas, which means they get to sit back that Sunday and watch Dallas and then get a whole week of preparation for them. So, look, we all know that it's a crapshoot, and this year you have the added caveat of will there or won't there be fans? And how much of an effect that have on these players. They love playing in front of guys. So it'll be very interesting to see.
One thing I also forgot to mention is that Saints game in Week 14, that game right there is a home game, but that is the Saints' third straight away game. So that's also something to be worth mentioning right there. Any final thoughts, JR?
Not really. I mean, I'm kind of where Rob is at 10 wins, too. I think we'll be at 10 wins. I wanted to say 11 because that's how it planned out. But God forbid we sign Clowney or trade for Yannick, then I think 11 is definitely obtainable. I just don't want to see Yannick go anywhere else in the division, which I'm hearing rumors that could be true right now, which scares the hell out of me. Just if that's what's going to be, if that happens, let's say, God forbid, the Giants make a stupid move and get Yannick, then the Birds need to go get Clowney. Go get him. Sign him up and let's just go.
All right. Make sure you follow Rob on Twitter at Philly_Madness. Anything you want to plug about the Madness podcast?
We are hoping, as you all know, Rob Motti has recently done an interview with Carson Wentz. My co-host on the Madness, Jessica Town, works with Rob. We are trying right now to get Rob to come on the show with us next week to talk to us a little bit about his Carson Wentz interview, which will be a lot of fun because Carson did a media press briefer, but technology sucked. It didn't work out. So we'll get the straight info from Rob about Carson and all that good stuff. So stay tuned for that.
All right. And make sure you follow JR on Twitter at JohnRussell215 for JR, for Rob, for myself. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay awesome.
Bye, guys.
Sixers win it! Wow! Oh, man, and being just posterized Russell Westbrook.
You love the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me get it.